it applies a lot more to how people are making records now too, because again, like we're saying, these big studios are going away, and not just because, well, there are lots of reasons, but one of them is a lot of people make records with a microphone and a laptop. But what that also means is that a lot of those people are constantly having the opportunity or the need to negotiate the acoustics of the space. And so you can very quickly get yourself into trouble if you don't know what you're doing. So paying attention to what the space is, what it feels like, what the mic is seeing behind it, in front of it, polar patterns, those sort of things become really important. One of the things I was thinking about from being in this space, which I'm in for a couple of months, really learning the acoustics of this space. There's a little live room back there. You obviously know this room well, or pretty well, because you were next door in this studio, right? Now, I don't want to give away the space or anything, have people come attack me in the middle of the night or something. But I
think you have bigger problems in that neighborhood, Matt.
Yeah. Me and the local community are all good here. Well, I love the spot. I've eaten a lot of. I won't say the name of the place, but you know it. There's a truck that's delicious. But in the live room, it's interesting because this place was, professionally built. But of course, and we'll get into this conversation too, not a lot of people really know what they're doing. And so there's aspects of this place that are great and done well. And there's aspects of this place where it's like, this room doesn't sound that great. And so it's interesting having the piano, a little drum kit, and the vocal in the live booth, and having recorded a few different things in there. You can definitely get some weird ringing in spaces, even if they're professionally built. And I talked about this with Matt Beckley, many lives ago. We did a few about specifically about vocal production, and there was a question about, would you rather have a wide open room or be in a closet to record vocals? And for the most part, as long as you can throw a blanket on the wall or something, the open room is probably going to be better, because that closet or that space, you start to get, like we talked about with Spider and Rory a couple of weeks ago, once you get walls that are parallel and thick and ceiling and floor, you're going to get standing waves and room modes, and you're going to get weird things to happen. I don't know exactly where I was going with this, but I've been thinking about that a lot because I've been doing more vocals. But you can definitely, or the question being, what do you look for in a room to record? I'm definitely wary of rooms that have, and I don't really know how you test for this quickly, but rooms that have weird buildups and weird frequency ranges. I feel like I run into that a lot in studios as well, in professionally built studios. Do you run into that? Do you think about that? I feel like you are, of all the people I've had on here, the most sort of seasoned, pure engineer, as much as you are a very successful mixer and a musician and lots of other things. Have you run into that much? How do you deal with that? Do you just tend to try to get out of those spaces?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that I don't think I've ever been in a situation where there's been like what everyone knows as like a recording booth. That sounds good. I really just see them as utility spaces. And again, like this is hearkening to like this new model of recording studio where it's not a big facility, it's not a staff, it's a single person, producer, mixer, engineer, whatever.
Yeah.
That, has to operate on their own and do things quickly. So a booth solves a lot of problems because it gets you isolation from, your mixing space. But there's never been a situation in, now going on over 15 years of making records full time, where the booth has been the best sounding option. And, like in a space like Barefoot where the booth was this, small footprint, but 15-foot ceilings with, non-parallel walls and, situations like that, that's cool. And that's its own thing. But what we know of as like the 8-foot ceiling rectangular little booth like you have in your spot,
I hate that shit.
It's just never going to sound good. So for me, I will always opt for like just a bigger room. Just give me the most space possible, because you can always tighten it up, but you can't make a room sound bigger, And, I would much rather record vocals or whatever in headphones and deal with that, just to get a better acoustic space. But that's part of the game too, not everybody is chasing the best vocal sound or acoustic sound all the time. They're just like they might just be trying to get something down or get it done, or that might not be a priority. Whereas like, yeah, then a booth makes sense. You know, get in there. It's going to be an SM7 or something like that. That's not going to pick up a lot of the room anyway. And then you can make that work. But yeah, there's just never been an instance where like a small space, unless you're trying to make something sound claustrophobic, which is a cool effect.
Yeah.
But certainly not something you're going to chase for an entire record, you know?
I think that's a thing that's like, just to repeat it one more time, I almost will always choose a bigger room over the vocal booth at a professional studio.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I try not to use the vocal booth to record vocals.
Yeah. And even at a place like Barefoot where it had like decent sounding booths, I would always use the big room. Like, why wouldn't you? Because again,
big room and throw up curtains.
Yeah. And then, you know, all of those kind of modal shitty frequencies just go away and you just kind of hear the microphone and the voice. And then if you want to let in some ambience, then you can do that. And you can do that with microphone choice or polar pattern or whatever, you know?
Yeah. It's like the modes of a room get higher in frequency the smaller the room is. So if you have a giant room, you're not going to be worried about the like 300 cycles in a vocal. But if you're in a tight booth, that stuff is going to be trapped much more often or at a much higher frequency than a big room. I never thought about it exactly that way, but that's
And then on top of that, if you know, it's one thing to have the small dimensions, but if those dimensions are similar, I mean, if you have like the worst situation you could be in as a cube, right? If you have 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot, then those modes are right on top of each other, you know? So then it's just like this, it's awful. You know, I'll never forget the first studio that I built in Santa Cruz, like professional studio. We had kind of put a lot of effort into the A room and making that kind of the main workhorse space. And then I really wanted a B room for me and my partner at the time. And it ended up just being like the only place we could carve out. And it was just a fucking cube. It was 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot. And we hired this guy, Bob Hodis, who's a big room tuner guy up in the Bay Area. And he tuned the main room and he's like, great. And I was like, hey man, can I throw you a couple extra bucks to just like come and just check out this mix room? Cause at the time, like I knew a little bit about acoustics, but I was just like, man, this sounds fucking awful in here. Like there's nothing that I've done. And he literally like hit spacebar, played whatever his reference mix, which I think was like a Justin Timberlake song, which was hilarious. And then he stopped it and he swiveled the chair around and he was just like, I would just throw a hand grenade in here. Like, he's like, he's like, mix on headphones. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, thanks.
Hey, useful advice. It doesn't get your hopes up. Lets you know quickly that you're in trouble.
Yeah. You know, make fucking lemonade, I guess.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. There's no Patreon. We don't read ads. We don't have sponsors. We're just trying to build a knowledge base. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks so much.